So I'm a huge survival horror fan, and probably one of my all-time favorite games is Silent Hill 2. And when I saw that that game was being remade, I was definitely excited, but I was also a little hesitant because Konami hasn't really done the best job with that series as it's progressed throughout the years, and some of the more recent releases and some of the games that came out just plain and simply weren't that good. But when I saw the original trailer for the remake, I was pretty excited, and I thought to myself, this looks like it's gonna get back on track with what I loved about that series. However, recently watching the gameplay trailer that was released, I'm starting to get a bit skeptical. And in this video, I'm gonna go over my thoughts regarding that and what I really think about what's happening with Silent Hill and some of the stuff that I'm worried about, especially with the remake. So let's take a look. So a couple days ago, the gameplay trailer was released for the Silent Hill 2 remake, and one of the things that immediately jumped out at me was this looked pretty similar to Silent Hill Homecoming, which at this point is definitely an aging game, and I personally didn't completely hate that game like a lot of Silent Hill fans, but on the other side of things, it is dated in age, and even at the time, some of the animations in that game seemed kind of stiff and just not all there. Now, I'm aware that when it comes to the original Silent Hill 2, things weren't perfect, and there was a lot of really plastic motions and movements in that game, but at this junction and the way things have progressed and the way games have moved, versus the original trailer that was revealed to this gameplay trailer, it looks almost like this is a fan game versus a remake of a complete classic title. And it wasn't just the animations, however, and the stiffness of them that kind of threw me off. I personally think the whole rapid X button quick time event thing is personally kind of cheesy. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, and I think that for a game like Silent Hill 2, where that wasn't really a focus in combat, it kind of throws it off for me. Now, another thing as well that I'm not so hot on when it comes to this is I liked how confining and almost restrictive the combat felt in Silent Hill 2 and the original title. It added to the fear and the atmosphere of the game, whereas looking at this remake trailer, it almost looks kind of like it's imitating some of the modern Resident Evil games, which for those types of titles, that type of combat works. But for Silent Hill, a game that was a lot more oppressive and bleak, I'm not sure that it works so well. And in my opinion, it has me a bit worried about what's going on with that title, and I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Bloober's never really developed many games with steady combat, and moving into that I think is something that they're more or less kind of imitating other games that are out there, trying to keep it modern, but it's just not, in my opinion, looking so great. Now, of course, I have to set the caveat that this is also only a 1.5 minute trailer, so we're also seeing things there that are giving us snippets, and maybe it's going to look better, but just looking at the combat and the way it looks, it just doesn't seem so Silent Hill 2 to me. And of all the Silent Hill games, that's the one to me that I'm probably the biggest fan of. I think that that's the perfect Silent Hill game, and I also think it's probably one of the best survival horror games ever made. So to see that they've kind of gone into this weird action-oriented approach, I understand combat was a part of Silent Hill 2. I know I see on some of these forums, people are talking about it like this was always a part of Silent Hill 2, you're correct. But for me, it was the, almost the, how do I say this? It was almost the fact that it felt so not great, I guess, that kind of added to the game. It didn't feel smooth. The combat didn't really feel like it was a focus of the game, whereas with this trailer, it looks kind of like that's the focus that they're trying to zero in on, and I'm not sure I like that. I'm not really sure that that fits the theme or the narrative or the atmosphere of Silent Hill 2. Now again, this is just my speculation based off of a small trailer, but as it stands, I unfortunately am not as excited for this remake as I was. If you would have asked me just after I saw the first trailer, I would have told you that I was completely on board with buying a PS5 pretty much just for that game so I could play it. But at this junction, I'm definitely gonna wait and see before I get a PS5 and see how that game actually runs and plays when it's out and make my opinion from there. But as it stands, I know that some people have mixed feelings about this. I'm definitely on the other side where I think this isn't shaping up to be so great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I always love to hear your feedback. I know some of you guys think kind of that looks good, it looks all right, which is fine. I just think for the purpose of how Silent Hill 2 plays and feels, I'm not sure this fits in with it.